Thank you. Mbulavinak, and a very good morning to you all. Members of the Fijian press, as we come to the close of a week of high-level meetings, negotiations and dialogues here in Tuvalu, and prepare to board our flight back to Nandi, it's clear that this year's Pacific Islands Forum has attracted a great deal of international media attention. But I wanted to take the time to talk to you. Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister.
Good morning, Excellency. You go ahead, please.
But I wanted to take the time to talk to you, our journalists, especially Fiji-based journalists, on the ground in Funafuti, to speak directly to our fellow Fijians back home and reflect on this year's Pacific Island Forum, what we accomplished and what remains to be done. Members of the press, it's no secret that this was my first Pacific Island Forum in over a decade. As we prepare for the UN Climate Action Summit next month, I came into this week with high hopes for finding common ground with all of our regional neighbors on climate change. The tone for this critical mission was set from the very start, as I was greeted at the airport upon my arrival on Sunday by an emotional performance by a group of Tuvaluan children wading in a pool of water, stressing the need to combat sea level rise in this atoll nation. My fellow Pacific leaders were driven by this powerful image. Through the week, coming to unanimous consensus on the gravity of this existential threat to the Pacific. Meanwhile, I was gravely disappointed that the language coming out of our final communique and the Tuvalu what was it? South Talanga, that's the one. I keep missing out. And that Australia fails to recognize climate change for what it is, a global crisis. I, along with my fellow Pacific heads of government, will continue to push the region's largest carbon emitter to transition from coal to clean energy and continue to be a voice for all climate vulnerable peoples. That shared sense of togetherness in the face of adversity may be the best outcome for this week. I was able to fully appreciate the united voice of Pacific small island developing states. As we sat through 12 contentious hours of debate over the language of the communique, it was refreshing to see that this is not a political issue for the climate vulnerable nations in the room. It is a matter of survival. I leave this week feeling closer and more in harmony with my fellow island leaders, and for that alone, this Pacific Island Forum will prove invaluable. It was also rewarding to see that issues that were once on the fringes of climate discussions, in particular the health of our oceans, has been mainstreamed into these dialogues. We garnered widespread international praise for a landmark announcement made in Parliament last week that Fiji endorses a 10-year moratorium on seabed mining to allow for scientific study, along with our plans to have a 100% sustainable managed exclusive economic zone, with 30% of that as marine protected area by 2030. I look forward to other nations following our lead and for this to lay a foundation for a successful Blue COP in Chile later this year. I also had the opportunity to reconnect with our Fijian diaspora, some of them waiting outside to farewell us at the USP's Funafuti campus. where I sat for hours talking about the issues that face them here in Tuvalu. I learned of issues regarding contract renewals for the Fiji Volunteer Scheme, and have promised to take quick action to remedy this situation so we can continue to assist our Pacific neighbor in a meaningful way, helpful to build capacity in the nation's health and education sector. It was also spectacular to experience the hospitality of Tuvalu, a nation of around 11,000 people who poured their heart and soul into making this week's event a success. It seems like every Tuvaluan had a role to play, from the children who graced us with song and dance, to the women of the villages who prepared traditional meals, to the fishermen who saved up their stores for weeks to accommodate for the many hungry visitors, to the security staff, liaison officers, hospitality workers, and volunteers who embraced us with open arms. These are the people we are fighting for. And in the very words of my friend, the Prime Minister Anele Sopoanga, the people whose lives we are wholly dedicated to saving. I thank the Prime Minister for the passion he brought to this week's negotiations, and for his true friendship that has strengthened our bond than ever. And I look forward to seeing all of you back in Suva. With regards to the comment yesterday or the day before, with regards to coal, I want to again relate my statement that I made on Monday, where I said that my views until now on the place, New Zealand and Australians' place at the forum are well known. And I also said that we are in a new era in which both countries are attempting to re-engage with us in a more respectful and inclusive way. And I, for one, warmly welcome that. And I want to again express my thanks to both the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, and for his New Zealand counterpart, Jacinda Ardern, for the efforts they have made and are making to improve the relationship with Fiji and other island nations, and especially for the support both countries are providing to enable us to meet the climate threat, including the provision of significant climate finance. As I said on Monday, we are bound by geography, history, and shared values, and nothing must ultimately be allowed to come between us. And I also want to say to the Australians in particular about the issue of coal, because that issue came up on Thursday. Issue of coal in relation to our collective quest for a carbon-free future. Fiji recognizes that coal has always been an important part of the Australian economy. We recognize that, and I think the whole Pacific recognizes that, as an export revenue earner and for their national energy security. It has enabled the Australians to build a strong economy that also gives them the means to support our region. And we appreciate the importance to Australia, indeed all countries, of having reliable and affordable access to power. We respect the fact that they have their interests, but we also have ours. And just as we don't expect to be told what to do in pursuit of our own interests, it is not for us to be prescriptive about how they should run their affairs. I also said on Monday that, having said that, I appeal to Australia to do everything possible to achieve a rapid transition from coal to energy sources that do not contribute to climate change. That transition should be just for their own people and just for us here in the Pacific, where we face a threat, existential threat that they don't face, and challenges we expect their governments and people to be more fully appreciative. They are already providing leadership in renewable energy investment and are leading in research and development across many aspects of it. And all we ask is that they do more. And we would all welcome benefiting from that, benefiting from that effort. But put simply, as I said again on Monday, the case for coal as an energy source cannot continue to be made if every nation is to meet the net zero emission target by 2050. That is the point the Pacific Island, small Pacific Island nations tried to make on Thursday. The case for coal as an energy source cannot continue to be made if every nation is to meet the net zero emission target by 2050. That has been set by the UN Secretary General and every other responsibility of the climate struggle. I certainly look forward to seeing for myself the progress Australia has made in managing the challenges of transforming its energy sector and integrating renewable energy when I make my first official visit there next month. That visit, as I said on Monday, will take place in an atmosphere of friendly engagement while I continue to press the case strongly on behalf of the Pacific nations for the 1.5 degrees target. Thank you very much, members of the press. Good night.